What is going on, everyone? It is Garrett and welcome to another tutorial. Today's video we're going over on creating a successful branding project or brand presentation for Behance. Now you guys can use this on your website, you guys can use it on a lot of different things, but particularly you usually want to use this around with Behance. I'm going to talk about dimensions and the reason why we're using it and stuff like that. But to quickly go over what this brand identity project basically is, it's going to help you guys create a whole entire sheet of just information, variations of logos, things you've done for a company, and it's just all around a lot nicer to look at. It's a better presentation, the clients are a lot more attracted to it, and it can get you more clients in the future. So I'm going to show you guys really quickly what I did. Now I showed these to my, it wasn't my counselor, but it was someone inside the college that was doing my portfolio review, my interview. Now, a really good thing about Behance as well as I want to talk about quickly is that they have an app on your phone. It's not called Behance, it's called like Behance Viewer or something like that, or Portfolio Viewer. Basically what that is it can show all your Behance projects in a really professional way. If you guys want to a video on that, I could definitely do that for you. But Behance is really nice when you're doing portfolio interviews and portfolio reviews in person. It's just a lot more easier to locate and stuff like that. But to quickly show you everything, so it's really simple. It's just like an about me section of it, variations of logos, live stream graphics or whatever you made for the client, and then apparel if there's any, and it basically whatever you can include on it. Now if you guys do a lot of stuff, you guys can include it as well, such as alternative logos, secondary logos, like I said, live stream graphics, wallpapers. When you get those big projects of a lot of things happening at once, it's always good to include it. You can see right here I have a 2D logo and I did the same thing, except for I included the construction and color codes, safe zones, and then of course the sketch, and then some printing outwork that it was used for. So you guys can go on my Behance, the link's going to be in the description below. You guys can check out all the brand identity projects I have on here, and we're basically going to go over through Behance and show you guys, there's a lot more different options out there. So if you go over to Behance and click on discover and go to the little search bar up here and just type in something like branding, you can see how other people approach things. Some have motion graphics in them, some have actual printed out photography work. So you really want to just look through everything, of course draw them out, that's usually the best way to do it, and then of course go from there, try to find the best possible outcome you can get. But enough of me talking about all this kind of stuff, let's get right into the video. So what you want to do is hop over to Photoshop, and right here I have the document included. This is going to be basically me working off of it to really show you guys basically everything that's going on. So what you want to do first is go over to File, New, and just make a width of 1400 and a height, give or take maybe 1000, maybe 2000. It doesn't have to be something crazy. I'm going to put 2000 since we're going to be working a lot onto it. You're going to unlock the background layer by double clicking it and hitting Control-I. So now that you have that, this is going to be basically your working plane. Now since we have the crop tool, we can make this larger and we can make it smaller, so keep that in mind. You don't need to make it a specific width or excuse me, a specific height. I would always keep the width 1400 or higher. The reason behind that is because in Behance, if it's lower than 1400, the screen's smaller, but in 1400 you can enlarge it and it's HD quality on any screen, so it's just really helpful. So now that you have that done, you want to go to File, Open, and then go to your hard drive where you have all the logos. And if you have the logo in an AI version, that's perfectly fine. You want that. If you guys have it in high-res PNGs, that's also fine. You want it to have a transparent background. And if you have different color variations or different variations of the logo, you want to import every single one of them. So what you want to do now is, since you have this all imported into Photoshop, you can even go to File, Open, and then go through everything you have. If you did stream designs for it, you want to include that as well. So let's just say you're going to grab the overlay and you're going to grab the webcam that you did and just import both of them as well. So now that you have that, we have everything that we basically have done for the company. If there's apparel, you guys can include that as well. I'm not going to be doing that in the video because there's a lot of little things you have to do with pen tooling it out and stuff like that, but you guys can get the whole gist of everything else I'm going to be doing. So now that you have that, you want to grab the logo that the company or that the client or whatever you use is actually using. If you guys are doing a branding project for a company like Apple, you just take the Apple logo, the standard one that's actually being used, and we're just going to drag it into the document. We're going to hit Control-T, and we're going to size this down pretty small. Now we don't want it to be huge because it's going to be the first thing people see. So just pretty small. Of course, you know, you don't want to make it like that, like an icon size, maybe a little bit around here. It's about like, I don't know, 3/4 the size. And just place that in there. So we're gonna have to figure out the sizing we want to use for everything. So really quickly, what you want to do is click on the background layer once again. If you don't have these rulers on your screen, if you hit Control R, they'll pop up. If not, you can go to I think it's View and then click on Rulers right here. And we're just gonna drag them, and they usually just snap onto the outer layer of the background like that. And you're gonna want to do this for the size. You don't have to do that for the bottom. So now that you have that done, we can start going over the spacing we want. So what I like to do is usually take a rectangle and go on the top of this ruler and find like a pretty decent size width that I want to use. Now you don't have to have it a specific inches, you don't have to have it just really big. You want it to be a decent gap because this is going to be the gap used for everything. So I'm just going to go down a little bit more, maybe about 2 inches on my screen. It can be whatever you guys want to use. And then we're just going to take the logo and we're going to make sure if we hit Control T, it's going to line up with the bottom of this rectangle. And if you guys have CC, you guys can drag the logo holding Shift to right and left, and it's going to lock on the middle. If you don't have CC, it of course locks in the middle. You just don't get those really helpful purple lines. And then hit Enter. And then you're going to label this rectangle right here, Safe Zone / border. And then label this logo. And make this a different color, usually red if you're doing a red concept, just because it's a lot easier. And now, since you have that, you can just take the ruler and put it right here so you know that it lines up with that. Just in case you ever lose a safe zone border, you guys can just easily grab a rectangle and make that size. Next thing you want to do, click back on that background layer. Totally forgot to do this. If you hit Control T, it's going to pop out with these little boxes up here. You want to just drag another ruler straight onto those boxes, which it should line up perfectly in the middle of your logo if you guys are doing this correctly. And now it's basically really straightforward with everything else. Take that safe zone border, just basically drag it to the bottom of your logo, and just put these 2 rulers on here. And now you're gonna have to figure out what you want to put down here. But really quickly, I do want to make the background. So you can see that the rulers are starting to line up really easily. So what I want to do now at the background is I'm going to drag in that logo again. And this is when I'm using mascot logos. I think this is like a really good and really eye-catching way to do this. So I make the logo pretty large, not like overdoing it though. And I put it inside of the document. And I put a little bit of a perspective on it. I just drag these down, or up, and then I drag this out. And then I can put this back in the middle. And now that I have that done, basically what I do is I go to Image, Adjustments, Black and White. And then I'm just going to hide that layer. I'm going to make a new one under that. And I'm going to go back to my logo. And I'm going to grab the 2 darkest colors, if possible. If there's a color that's like the same color, just don't even worry about it. If you're having a single color logo, like a symbolic logo that's just black and white, don't worry about this. I'll show you guys another example you guys can use. But if you're using this mascot logo, you want to grab like the shadow color of the red, and you want to grab the background color, of which is mine's like a dark gray black. And then we're just going to take the gradient tool, just click up here and make sure the one on the top left is clicked. You have the actual gradient clicked, and then we can just make a nice little gradient across the background. And then we can unhide our layer, go to right here to normal, and put the blending mode to soft light. And we can just scroll back in. And then you can just really just start messing again with this gradient. You want to find one that works for you. If for some reason you think that the red is a little bit too bright, you can of course change the color. But you don't want to use really dark colors. You want to use pretty good colors. So you got that. Of course, since the background layer is black, you can just lower the opacity. And then we have our background layer. You can hit Control H to bring those rulers up and back. If you guys see me hitting commands and they're not showing up on your screen, Control H does the ruler lines and stuff like that. So I just want to let you guys know about that. Label this just to say gradient background. You can label this just like CC Gaming or whatever the company is, and then put soft light, because we're going to need to keep going back to that. and put these right here in their own folder under background. If you highlight all three and hit Control G, it'll make a group. So now you have that done, everything else is going to be really easy to do. I'm going to grab the safe zone border and I'm going to just hit Control T on it. And right here you're going to see these little curve tools. Hold Shift and make it upright, and we're going to bring it to the side. And now we're going to make these borders on the side. And the reason behind this is because we're going to be putting text aligned with this. So you got that done, you can just hide that again. And now you want to just really think about what you want to do laying this out. So personally, what I like doing when I do any branding presentation, whether it is really complicated, whether it's really easy, I always just like to draw it out first and plan it ahead of time, just because I want to know what I'm going to do. However, in this video, I'm showing you guys, the specific ways that I think that's the best. I really recommend doing these. So I usually do the logo first, and then I talk about the about me, and then I do the variations, then I do the social media or live streams, and then the apparel, wallpaper, stuff like that always goes last. I always want to introduce the company first, just because it's a lot more formal. If you go to a dinner, you introduce yourself first. You don't just start telling them about your story or start showing them things that you do. You always want to introduce yourself. So what I like doing is just going right here and grabbing the text tool, and then I'll just put text that says like about, highlight it, and then for the color, you want to click this little color picker up here, and you want to grab the white on the logo. If there's a white, you basically want to either grab a white or the lightest color on the logo. Typically it's usually white, and then you can hit Control T on your text tool and just make it a little bit larger. For font choice, you always want to use something bold. For example, I'm using Proxima Nova Black. If you guys don't have that font, you guys can't find it for free, you don't want to pay for it, you can honestly use Arial Black. That doesn't make that big of a difference. It's just a preference in my mind. And then we can take this little about, you can hold Shift, line it up with the little safe zone border you got right here, bring it to the top, and sometimes it won't click onto it, so you can just zoom in a little bit more and drag up and hit Control T and just make it a little bit smaller. So it doesn't have to line up exactly either. No one's gonna really notice if it's a hair off. So that's gonna be the about. You can add little cool essential things after it. So if you want, you can grab a little rectangle. For colors, you always want to keep the colors off of the logo. That's just the way you want to do it. It helps bring everything together, and it helps match everything. So you can do this little about, you can bring the a rectangle that covers the whole entire bottom of it, just like an underline. Figure out what the spacing you want of it. And then for the gap, typically what I do is I'll grab that safe zone that we've been working with. I'll just hit Control T, I'll rotate it again, and then I'm gonna duplicate it, hitting Control J, hit Control T, and make it half the size. And I'll just drag it to the bottom of this text. And then I have my little gap, and then I can start doing my my text about the company, my text about whatever. If for some reason you think that the gap right there is just a little bit too much, you guys can grab the gap of the whole text itself. So it's really like a give and take of what you want to do. So I'm gonna speed up the process right now and show you guys exactly how everything's gonna work. So just grab the about text, hit Control J and duplicate it, bring it to the bottom. And now you want to grab the same font you're using, but you want to grab a smaller version of it. Make sure that all the capitals are on. So if you hit this little document box up here, make sure the double T's are clicked open. And then you want to basically type a very formal about section of the company. I already have done that for you guys, so I'm going to skip that whole entire process. Basically what I do is I just introduce the company, where they're located, what they're all about and stuff like that. And then I can grab the big text tool that I use, the big text, and I'm gonna make it a little bit smaller. And you don't need to get the pixel size for the font like on lock, it doesn't really matter. And this, basically, you can do it this way. If you're gonna be changing everything like that, make sure that the left bracket is clicked on. I totally forgot to do that on one of mine, and it was just really bouncing back and forth. So just make sure that left bracket's clicked on, and then you basically can just go through it, find where you want to hit the find out where you want to hit the enter key, and then basically just keep going through this. It's very easy, and then you can just leave that there. line all these up, bring them up, and then you got the about me. So it's already starting to look good. And then basically what we can take is right here, grab this rectangle in the text tool, put this to about me section, right click, go to red, and then we're going to start working more down this. So every time we finish something, we always want to put the rulers in the bottom of it, and then we're going to grab our safe zones, and we're just going to make a big gap, and then we're going to start working on the next thing. So for the next thing, I'm going to introduce all the variations. So what we can do is just open up this little folder again. Make sure you click the about me text, or the about text, hold control on your keyboard and click the rectangle. Hit Control J, which is going to duplicate only those two layers and bring them out of the folder. Close it back up, and make sure you have everything highlighted, the about me and the rectangle duplicate, and you can bring it to the bottom. And then you're going to put something like variations or something. Anything that you can include in the branding project you want to include. You don't want to limit yourself, just because sometimes you might include something that the client will like, or just anything like that. And then if you want to grab the same width, you can see that I'm doing this just to make sure that everything is spaced out correctly. And then I'm going to grab the variations. So what I like to do, if there's more than one variation, I just drag them into the same document because I want them to all be the same size. And then they're all like on top of each other. You can just drag them in. Of course, you're going to have to make them a lot smaller. And for size, typically I try to do like 25% less than what the logo on top is. And just the reason behind that is because you don't want to overdo it with this logo. And then you want to use the least favorite that you have all the way to the right. Now, that's just my preference. The one that they used, I usually like putting in the middle, and then the one that I just don't like at all, or that's very basic, I leave that one all the way to the left. And then you basically got that far, and now you're really almost done. So it goes really quickly, and I know I'm making this video a lot longer than it should be, but it does go very quickly once you get this far. It's basically doing the same thing over and over again of just duplicating these safe zone borders, bringing them down, duplicating this text and variations, bringing this down. So you can see that it's a lot of tedious work, and I'm just going to basically finish up my last thing. So this is going to be my live stream graphics, and it's really tedious. It honestly is. I can't stress it enough though, that you want it to try to be as best as possible. And the reason behind that is because it's going to catch the client's eye, and it's going to catch the viewer's eye, and it's just going to be overall like a lot more overall like a presentation people want to click on and look at. So I'm just going to take this, put it down there. You can just group this if you want and put this to variations. And then same thing, you can just grab this rectangle, do this little cool size change. You can hide that. And now you want to introduce the live stream graphics. If you guys don't have the live stream graphics already created, like I actually deleted them off of my my desktop. Basically what you want to do, I'm just going to grab this one. You want to just basically present them in a nice way. I just put the overlay at the top and the webcam overlay at the bottom, and then you want to drag it in, and then you want to make the width of it the same as those safe zone borders. Bring it to the bottom, and then like I said, sometimes that you'll go a little bit over duty. You can just grab the crop tool and bring it down more, because it's always easier to add than to take away. And then you just have to hit Control T on your gradient background and bring it down. Same thing with your background layer, just bring it down. And then there's going to be this kind of weird annoying gap right here, and that's when I said you want to go back and put this to normal. And you're going to grab your polygon tool, and you're just going to make the same shape, and you're going to bring it all the way to the bottom. And you're going to make it that ending color, usually the darkest color right there. And then you can put it back to soft light. And it's basically really all you guys have to do. And then it gets, like I said, just super simple and super easy. You bring that safe border back down. You can keep hitting Control H just to keep seeing the rulers go away. And then put your last safe zone. grab that live stream graphics text in the rectangle, bring it all the way down, make sure that it's centered, and then write like thank you. You can always make sure that it's in the center by hitting Control T. And then go to your little rectangle that you have on the thank you, and just make sure that it's the same width. So now that you guys have made it this far in the video, now we're gonna have to clean up everything, and this is kind of like the more annoying part of it. So you have the thank you message, you have all that kind of stuff, you have whatever you wanted to include, it's there. So you want to grab your crop tool, you want to just bring it up, and now you can start doing little extra things. So you always want to clean up the stuff at the end or even while you're doing it. So I'll label this big image, live stream image, bring it next to the live stream graphics text, and just keep grouping things just because it's a lot easier to go back and edit. If there's little boxes that aren't clicked that you know you don't need, you can just delete them right now and just make these all the color red. And so now that we have that, you can start adding a little bit more flair to it. So you can go to make a new layer, you can grab a brush on a like a size like 500 almost, and grab that brightest color on that logo, and then you can just do like little clicks here and there, and then go to normal and put it to soft light, and then put the opacity down a little bit and label this like soft light brush. And now you have that done. There's other things you can do. Like I said, you can make a new layer. You guys can bring in particles, like white particles. You guys can just make like a brush in the size 4. Grab a white color. And you just make like little particles or something like that. Just little things that can really just make it seem a lot more interesting. And now that you have that done, it's really it. Just label those particles, take everything from this group. You guys can just hit the first layer, hold shift, click the bottom folder, group it, hitting Control G, duplicate it, hitting Control J, hit Control E now, and then hit Control J again, which is a lot of confusing things. It was duplicating it, merging, and stuff like that. Label the bottom one safe, label the top one edit, and then go to filter, noise, add noise, and put a noise amount of like 1. And then you can take your eraser on a very high size, like over 1000, and do 2 big clicks in the middle, which is just gonna leave a little bit of noise on the edge, which just leaves it a nice vibe. So now that you have that done, you basically are set. You guys have all the ruler stuff planned out. You guys have everything basically complete. And if you guys, of course, want to include more things, you know, be my guest. It's a lot easier to do. And just take this, go to File, go to Export, save it for Web Legacy. You guys can go to PNG24 and save it to your desktop to whatever you'd like. And then import it into Behance, which is going to end up looking like this once you import it and then change all the settings. And like I said, guys, it's really fun. It's really easy to do. If you guys want to add like magic bullet looks, you guys want to add like your own filter onto it, you know, be my guest. But it's going to be looking really clean, looks really, really professional. So I want to see what you guys created. So of course, if you're using this tutorial, you guys can tag me on Instagram, you guys can tag me on Twitter, you guys can email me, my website, anything you want. You guys can just contact me. I want to see how everything planned out for you guys. Just don't go ahead and copy this, you know, exactly how I did. Just take it with a grain of salt and then go on with your own style. But like I said, my Behance is in the description below. You guys can see all the brand identity projects I did. You know, instead of the about, I did a who is, and then I have the thank you at the bottom. So it's just really, really fun, really, really easy. And if you guys want a video on the secondary Behance app that I have on my iPad that I use for my college portfolio, just let me know in the comment section below. I've also did my portfolio review. I got a really, really big scholarship, which I'm more than happy to talk about with you guys if you guys would like. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Make sure to leave a thumbs up on the video, subscribe to my channel, hit that bell to turn the notifications on. I'll see you guys later on. Peace out.